welcome back to Swift Guitar Lessons for another lick of the week. In today's lesson, I'm going to be sharing with you some very useful major blues soloing licks and tricks. We're going to get started learning how to play the rhythm section, a 1-4-5 blues progression in the key of C that you can perform using just one chord shape, that C7 chord shape. From there, we're going to review the major pentatonic scale, very easy to play scale that you can use to create your major lead lines. Finally, we'll get into the lick of the week, a very cool lick that blends the styles of Jerry Garcia and B.B. King. It's going to utilize some chromaticism and also some string bends and string skipping. As usual, I got all the tabs available for you at patreon.com/swiftlessons, where if you become a member, you can gain access to a ton of extra resources. Now, let's get started. Okay, close look at the fretboard, getting started with some major blues soloing licks and tricks. For this lesson, we're going to be learning how to play over a major 1-4-5 progression, shown here in the key of C. So that progression would be a C7 chord, an F7, and a G7. Okay, so you have those three chords, but I played them all with a C7 shape in the backing track that you can jam over at the end of this video. So I take that C7 shape, I can bring my ring finger and pinky up to the 8th fret position to create the F7. I can bring that up a whole step to create a G7. This is a great way to play through a blues, very simple, comfortable way. So you can play 16 beats on that first chord C7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then you can play 8 beats on that F7 position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Go back to the 1. Okay, that was 8 beats. Then we'll have 4 beats on the 5 chord, G7, way up here on the 10th fret. Descend it down to the 4 chord for 4 more beats. Then finish it up. We're going to the C7 shape for 6 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then head back up to the 5 chord for 2 beats. Then start the whole thing over. A great progression for beginner soloists to jam over top of, but also one that really every rhythm guitar player needs to know. Now you can also arpeggiate that chord. For kind of like a CCR kind of feel. Alright, so over a C7 chord, the A string, the D string, the B string, the G string, and the D string, and back to the G string. Love my vibrato in that first finger. For kind of a more creative, interesting way to navigate through a 12 bar. Okay, fantastic. Now you know how to play a 1-4-5 blues progression in the key of C, using just the very simple C7 shape, played up and down the fretboard. But how do we create lead lines and solos over a progression like this? Well, the first thing I want you to remember is that when playing over major chord progressions, you can use both major scales, like the major pentatonic, and also minor scales, like the minor pentatonic. Okay? The only thing that dictates which you would use is the general feel of the song. If it's got a very happy-go-lucky major kind of feel to it, then you would probably want to stick with those major lines. If it had a more funky kind of vibe to it, you might want to throw in a little bit of that minor scale or that blues scale over that progression. But for our backing track, it does have a little bit of that kind of country kind of feel to it, very major sounding. So we want to learn how to create licks and lead lines using the major pentatonic scale. We're going to be learning it in a position that I call the backyard. If you're familiar with the cage system, it's also a position that you would call the G position. That means if you played a C chord as a G shape, okay, so you're going to play a C chord using your G shape. That's taking a G chord, putting it on the 8th fret, and barring your finger like a capo. Not the most comfortable position, but don't worry, we're not actually going to have to play it. We're just looking at this shape, then we're going to visualize the scale that kind of resides inside of that shape. So here's your C chord, here's your C major pentatonic. Okay, just like that. This is the best progression for beginner soloists to get started with when you're jamming over top of major chord progressions. Okay, it's very easy to use. So that was the 8th fret low E string, the 5th and 7th frets of the A string, D string, and G string. Then we're going to play the 5th and 8th frets of the B and high E string. The next thing that you want to do is memorize where your roots are. 8th fret low E, 5th fret G, and the high E string, 8th fret. Okay? That's going to allow you to be able to kind of package up your licks nice and neat, be able to resolve as you play over the chord progression. Okay, great. Now that you know how to play a 1-4-5 progression, and you know how to find the scale that you would use to jam over that kind of major progression, let's take a look at our lick of the week. This lick is going to use a lot of different techniques. We're going to see some chromaticism, that's tying together the notes in the scale, and we're also going to be doing a little bit of bending and a little bit of string skipping as well. So this lick is going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now real slow. Okay, so part number 1 of that lick sounds like this. My pinky's on the 8th fret high E string, while my pointer finger is on the 4th fret B string. I strike both of those strings together and slide that pointer up. Then I'll play the 5th fret B string again, 6th fret, 7th fret, 8th fret. Then with my pointer finger, I go to the 5th fret G string. And notice how syncopated that is. Okay. All right, now the second part is going to sound like this. Seventh fret D string, 5th fret G string, 7th fret of the G string bending up a half step or a whole step. I kill it as I lift it, just by putting my pick back on the string. Then I'll have the 5th fret of the G string. All right, so combine that phrase with the first part we have. All right, then the final part. All right, that was the 7th fret D string. Then we have the 8th fret B string. The G string, 7th fret bending. And then the 5th fret of the G string with some nice vibrato. All right, part number 1. Part 2. 3. For your lick of the week. Alright everyone, thanks so much for checking out this lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much to my supporters at patreon.com/swiftlessons. I hope you're enjoying the extra resources, including tabs and bonus licks. I got many more lessons coming up, so keep checking back. Please subscribe, please share. This is Rob at Swift Guitar Lessons in Philadelphia, saying happy picking.